Welcome to the Rustic Garden Homestead. Today's video is all about quickly and easily planting potatoes in containers. Going to cover fertilizing, watering, water-soluble fertilizer, all the basics you need to quickly plant up a space in under 30 minutes. This is one area where I plant potatoes, and it doesn't get as much sun as my other garden, so you don't need 10 hours of sun, a good 8 hours, maybe even 6 hours if it's, direct sun coming in. You can grow potatoes just fine. I have back there, it's a 10-gallon container, 20-gallon container, that's about a 4 or 5-gallon container, and then a plastic container too. Filled with a potting mix that I make. I will link that video in the video description. Generally speaking, I do 50% earth, 50% peat moss. I mix in compost and stuff. I have plenty of videos on that. You can save yourself a lot of money if you make your own. This is last year's container mix. It's actually been in here now for 2 years. I'm just going to refresh it. I already weeded it. You do not need to take the container mix, the potting mix, whatever you're using, all the way to the top. Something like this is fine. The potatoes are all going to go down about 4 inches. That's 10 centimeters. And, we'll be good to go. What I'd like to do is we're going to loosen the soil. I'm going to show you all the steps. We're going to do it quickly. 1 big handful of organic granular fertilizer. Any one works. I recommend buying what's on sale. For 20 gallons, about 2 handfuls, maybe 3 if your hand is smaller than mine. And then we're going to mix that through. So let me set up the containers first with the container mix. Then we'll plant them, and then we're going to talk about water-soluble fertilizer. The real key to success for your potatoes is watering and water-soluble fertilizer. Please subscribe and follow me. I linked in the video description how not to buy garbage topsoil. A lot of the bag products are filled with shredded hardwood, and that's going to impact how your plants grow. So please check out that video. This is my potato corner in my other garden. I've been growing in here for 6 seasons. These are fabric pots that have been there, since the beginning. Every 3 years, 4 years, I dump out all the soil, I refresh it, have videos on that, but I don't need to dump it out now. It's been here, I think we're going on the 3rd year. Added in the organic granular, and I just want to go over again, 20-gallon container, 2 or 3 handfuls of organic granular fertilizer. I'm using plant tone. I don't necessarily recommend that. Any organic granular is fine, whatever's cheap and on sale. If the container's about 5 gallons or so, maybe a half a handful. And then in the back there is a 10-gallon container. I threw in a handful. You are just adding in the organic granular for it to break down, do its thing, and it takes a while. It doesn't necessarily feed your potatoes right away. That's what we're going to be using the water-soluble fertilizer for. If you have compost, certainly add that in here, but I'm going to kind of work on that you don't have your own compost, and let's keep this simple. Just loosen everything up to a good 6 to 8 inches. If you can get all the way down to the bottom of the container, that is fine. And we're just going to go through and mix everything up really well. The dry organic granular fertilizer has been mixed through. Again, that's your slow release. I get asked often, do I have to throw away my container mix? You do not. Again, I've been using this really for 6 years, refresh it about every 3 years. The potatoes are set up into different containers with the number that I would put in if you're just getting started. If you put in more potatoes, they're going to grow, but you're going to have to water and feed them more, and they're going to be smaller. So in a 20-gallon container, something about that size, put in 3 potatoes. Now the potatoes here have chitted. That means they have some growth going. That doesn't have to happen. You can still plant any potato. I get my potatoes usually at the Tractor Supply Company or at a local hardware store. You can order them online. I've even used potatoes from grocery stores. These are Red Norlands and Yukon Golds in here. I like growing those. They are a determined variety potato. We just press them down 4 inches. They're good to go. In a container about this size, 1 or 2, you're going to get, bigger potatoes. And when these get a lot of greenery, the number one mistake people make is they don't water enough. If that greenery starts falling over because they're not getting enough water, it inhibits the growth of the potato. So you want to keep these watered regularly, and you want to use a water-soluble fertilizer every 3 weeks. I recommend AgroThrive for your organic water-soluble. The chemical types do work. Use them at half strength. They give the potatoes everything they need. I like AgroThrive over fish emulsion because AgroThrive is higher in potassium and phosphorus, which potatoes really enjoy. So 5 gallons, 1 or 2 potatoes, 20 gallons, 3 or 4 potatoes, and in a 10-gallon, something about that size, 2 or 3 potatoes. Real easy. Once it's fluffed up, you added the organic granular, you're just gonna dig a hole about that deep, 4 to 6 inches deep. That's 10 to 15 centimeters, and really plant it. Let's go a little bit deeper. And just drop it in there like that. Cover it over. The potatoes are going to obviously grow upward, and then the potatoes will just form around this space, all like right around here, about 4 inches deep. And I would just go and do that, of course, for all the potatoes. Doesn't matter which way you put them. If you put them in upside down or whatever, the potato figures it out. But if you've got some nice growth, kind of point that upward. So that's one planted. Same thing. Go a little bit deeper. Now, with the smaller containers and less soil, you're gonna have to water more frequently. You get the idea, just how quickly you can plant your potatoes. Everything is planted, and you can tell that this space gets less sun because there's so much moss growing on the fabric pots, which I really do like the look. Again, you don't need to fill them all the way to the top, save yourself some money. Perfect to put down some mulch once the greenery grows up past that. You could use grass clippings, shredded hardwood, whatever you want. That will help keep the moisture in there. I'm gonna stress again, the number one fail for people growing potatoes is they do not water them often enough, especially when you have all that green growth. It's getting, well, actually it's warm and it's hot, and they just use a lot of water. Now, the thing with potatoes is a lot of people think you have to plant them in early March, in April. You can plant them throughout the season. They may not get as large, if you plant them in June and, harvest somewhere end of August, beginning of September, but you can plant them throughout the season. The potatoes here take about 70 to 90 days to mature, but you're not behind. You could plant potatoes really anytime, in my opinion, April, May, and June, and still get a harvest. And please subscribe and follow me. I'll be doing a full harvest video. I expect to get about 100 potatoes out of this space. Now, the water-soluble fertilizer is going to be the key. When the plants are less than 12 inches tall, you want to water them every 3 weeks. I'm going to show you how I do it. When they're over 12 inches tall, that's 24, 30 centimeters tall, you're going to water them about every 2 weeks. Nutrients are going to play a really big part in making sure you get good-sized potatoes, along with watering regularly. It has been raining here, so the soil is really wet. If it was kind of dry, you haven't had any rain, water this in for about 10 seconds. Metric conversion for that is 10 seconds. Just soak the soil nicely, and that's good to go. Once your soil's saturated, you can just go ahead and give it the water-soluble fertilizer. And let me just show you the pour real quick. Again, I'm using AgroThrive, and you just want to soak it in something like that for the larger containers. You want to give it enough so that the water is seeping down to that, a good 6 inches, 15 centimeters. For the smaller containers, just a quick pour like that. This is a 2-gallon container. So just to give you some idea, I am completing 2 20-gallon root pouches, which I do sell at my seed and garden shop. And we did like 2 5-gallon size containers. Still have a little bit left over. That's all you need to do to take care of the potatoes with the water-soluble fertilizer. And again, please subscribe. It really helps me out. I sell tomato and pepper seeds at my seed and garden shop, $1.75 a pack. All other seeds are $1.50 a pack. And you can see a little bit of chaos going on in my garden. I got bags blowing everywhere. I've planted up 2 mushroom gardens. Videos for that will be coming out soon. Again, thanks so much for watching.